Welcome to the Fearless Morning Show. We are having confessions and conversations about your everyday life. My name is Yamitra Jojo Waddell, the only Live Past Crazy specialist. So, what better place to be than here with me? It's gonna be a good day, 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 good day. So please do the introduction. Please make sure you share the show because sharing is caring. If your friends and family do not have Facebook, send them over to the YouTube channel. They can binge watch all the Fearless Morning shows over there. Don't forget we have the podcast and subscribe. Please make sure they subscribe to the YouTube channel because it costs you nothing for that. Okay, so please make sure you do that. They can watch the Fearless Morning Show. They can listen to the podcast. They can watch the movie. They can do all the things. So I'm just sharing the links for Sister Roz, whether you want to come to the 1 day intensive or whether you want to come to um, the weekend. They are all there. Okay. So you can have those. So good morning. Good morning. Please make sure you share the show. So, and if you share, can you tag me so I can properly tell you thank you? Good morning to everybody. So, let's get this show started. And I said Monday we will have something to write on. Monday we're going to start writing formulas. Monday we already have the topic. We're going to talk about see what we say, and we'll begin writing formulas. On Monday. Grand Rising. So Monday, we'll be talking about see what you say, but we're going to begin with writing formulas. Okay. We're going to begin that by writing formulas, your own. It's not difficult. I am not a math person. I want you to understand that. Okay. But we're going to begin by writing formulas and what that looks like and all the things. So on Monday, there'll be a sticky note here. Hopefully I can get it to stick to this because I don't have a stand for my big sticky notes. They stick on the wall over there. So then again, we may have to just switch so that we can see that wall over there. Either way, that's what we're talking about on Monday. So get ready, get ready. So we're ready for all the things. Excuse me. Yeah, yesterday I tried my hardest to load a video, and for some reason it will not load, and I do not know why. So yesterday we talked about you're right. Okay, we talked about what you're right about, and today I want to try to help get us set up for Monday because it is the weekend, and I want us to. Did y'all listen to any of the songs yesterday? Did y'all listen to any of the songs yesterday? Cause I listened to "Give Me a Reason to Believe" after the show was over, honey, and I sung and danced, and I recorded a video of me singing and dancing to it. So I'm gonna post that later. But I put it in hyperlapse, so it goes really fast. So hopefully y'all listened to some music yesterday, and you were able to reset some things. Okay, so let's get it started. Are you listening to something, Tammy? Good morning, Joshua. I listened to the song Joshua sent. I listened to all of them, so they went in a line. I listened to "Give Me a Reason to Believe" first, then I listened to Joshua's song, and then I listened to Zoom, and I turned it up really, 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 really loud, and got in the shower and just repeated all of them songs. All right, so yesterday we talked about you're right. Today we're going to it's like the precursor to Monday, because on Monday we're talking about you see what you're saying. We're writing formulas on Monday, but in order to write a formula, you got to find out what your principle is. You got to have some practicing principles. Your practicing principles, and I need to get up a piece of paper so I can write these down because I couldn't write them this morning. Sometimes when things come to me, I call them downloads, information. I can't put it in writing. I have to allow it to come out of my mouth, because if I try to force it into some kind of form, it's not what I need. And so we're going to write this as we go. So practicing principles. To have a practicing principle is you, me, us deciding what's going to be our guiding force from this space on. What are we? What is y'all? Golly, I forgot about this. Y'all remember 3 years ago I talked about the guidance of truth and the questions that I asked myself on my guidance of truth. And so it's going to almost be like me bumping up against my guidance of truth. I'll try to find that video or find my notes so I can tell you guys what the guidance of truth was and what was included in that. But when we start to think about our guiding principles, it is the thing that we are saying. And so by Monday, we need to have something in writing that we're saying this is what's fixing to take me where I need to be. Okay. This is where I need to go. This is what's going to be the outline or the goalpost for what I'm about to do. Okay. I was trying to see if I can find that. Joshua, listen, friend. I overstand that. You hear me? I overstand that. So when I think about when I begin to think about some of my guiding principles that are so important to me and what I practice now, we have practicing principles right now. We have some in place that they just in place, y'all. And we don't necessarily know why they are guiding principles, but they are. And it could be everything that your mama taught you. It could be everything that grandma taught you. It could be things that you've picked up along the way. It is your smorgasbord of thoughts and ideas that guide you. But as we look at these guiding principles, I want us to get really clear about which ones are so important that we can't move past it. We can't move past it. Like, I don't care what's happening. These are my practicing principles. So if my practicing principle, and Joshua gave us an example, is tolerance, patience. Are these some of my practicing principles, and who am I going to who am I going to apply them to? And do they apply to everybody? Do they just apply to me? Are there certain situations when they're not true? I talked about the guiding principles of truth in September of 2019. I knew I had it handy somewhere, but I transcribed that show, so I don't have time to read the notes of it. So I'll find it and post it. So what are my guiding principles? So if you look at your family members, and if you look at your mama or your sister or whoever, they would have I was trying to look up something. They will have their guiding principles. Like, you know how to interact with your mama because of her guiding principles. Do people know how to interact with you because of what you've put in place? If you are a reformed people pleaser like me, because I'm a people pleaser to the 19th power, okay? That's just what I used to do. People please. And so because I was a people pleaser, my guiding principles were whatever made anybody else happy. So here's the definition of principle. The first order of importance. The first order of importance. The second definition is the invested amount. So what is your first order of business? because this is your guiding principle. How much is going to be invested in that? I like those definitions. First order of business. What is your first order of business when it comes to operating as you? What is your first order of business? That's the first definition. The second definition is, and they're talking about money, but I want us to think about it in terms of ourselves. An original sum invested or lent. So when I'm people pleasing and I'm looking at that as my guiding principle, how much of me have I lent out or invested to please other people that has had zero return back to JoJo? All relationships are give and take in some form or fashion. Yes, sometimes we give and we expect nothing in return, but there's a giving and receiving. I may not receive something from that person, but I'm in the receiving mode in other places. So if my guiding principle, what is my main thing? What is the main importance of that? What is the first order? If this is going to be what's going to guide me, what is the first thing that comes up? Is it respect? If my guiding principle to operate with JoJo is respect, I need that first. That's the first order of importance. What's the second? So I need you to pick out 3 as we get ready for Monday. What are 3 guiding principles for you? And then how much have you invested in that guiding principle? And or if you don't have any, or it's hard to say what your guiding principle is, then you need to focus on how much of you have you lent out, you spent, and you don't have any money left. So if we're talking about the energy buckets and you got your 100%, how much do you give away every day? So there's that. So if I'm understanding my guiding principles, I need to know what's the first one that's important. I got to know what I'm investing in. So if I'm investing in something, YouTube, let me give you the definitions. So if I'm investing in something, is it important to me? Am I willing to pay the cost of what I said I wanted? That's important. When we start to look at our guiding principles, y'all, when we start to look at them, is what you're investing in, really what you want to spend? Right? Absolutely, Joshua. First order of business is to always be grateful and thankful. That's going to set our tone. So we should do 2 things. So I should list my practicing principles now. What are my practicing principles right now? And what will my practicing principles be after this weekend? Like I'm thinking about it this weekend and I'm put some in place. What are going to be my guiding principles after today? What's important to me? So grab a piece of paper. What is the first order of importance? What's your main thing? Without a shadow of doubt, you got to have. Is it respect? Is it love? Is it understanding? Like, what do you have to have first? And then how much are you willing to invest into that principle? Meaning, if respect is number 1 as my principle of operating, am I willing to, when somebody brings that to me, what is the investment that I'm willing to say that? So, and I want to put it in such a way that we understand, if somebody you really like comes to you and they hit up against your first principle and they're disrespectful, are you willing to invest? Do you have money to lend out to that person for them to continue to be disrespectful to you? Because we're going to look at that 2 ways. You have money to lend out to them. Money meaning energy of self. Do you have that to lend out to them as they're disrespectful because it's going against your principle? 1. Or 2, have you invested enough in your principle that no matter what comes when it hits up against that principle, you're not budging off of it? That's where I am. I've invested enough into that principle that what hits up against it, my investment is greater than me saying I'd rather have that. You know, does that make sense? I've invested enough in my principles to say this cost me an undeniable amount, mentally, emotionally, physically, financially. So when something comes up against it, I can't sell it, I can't spend it, I can't move off of that principle because I've invested in it, so I'm not moving off of it. Right. We got to be clear. And you got to be clear when you are going to be challenged. If you come up against a challenge, is that principle going to stand? And I can tell you right now, there's been plenty of times up until recently, because this is a growing thing, where I thought I had principles in place, and when they were challenged, I didn't. I didn't have not one principle in place. I let them knock them down. And then I was sitting there with my feelings hurt and all of this because I'd stopped practicing my principle, and or I lent that principle out and I didn't have it to spend. I didn't have it to give. But because I liked that person, or because I wanted that situation, or because I wanted this to work more than I valued my principle that I had set in place. You see? You invest in what you think is important. You hold value in what you think is important. And so because I did that, here I am, Pepe Le Pew now, doing something different. And now I'm mad because I'm having to do something different. Trying to listen. I've been there, friend. Listen, here comes Joshua's core principles. Thank you for sharing, Joshua. Profit, personality, morality over money, essence over ego, accountability over blame, collaboration over competition. People pleasing will have JoJo sitting in the corner mad, ready to cuss and fight everybody because how they did me, but it was in my people pleasing that I set my own self up. And because I set my own self up and went against my own guiding principle, I can't really be mad at them because I put myself in that predicament. I didn't hold enough value to that thing. So whatever our practicing principle is going to be, put it in place, write out 3. If you can't think of 3, give you 1. Right, it brings out bitterness in me. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. We do forget we are a person when we're people pleasing because it doesn't matter because I want the other person to be happy. Let me tell you who I used to be. I used to be, and this, if you would have asked me, I would have told you. I wanted everybody who met me to walk away thinking JoJo was the nicest person in the world. I wanted to people please so much. I wanted you to think I was the nicest person. I wanted to over deliver in my niceness in every single way. That's not humanly possible, JoJo, because you're going to be so sucked into people pleasing. When you finally sit down to say, what does JoJo want and what do you like? You will not have an answer to this day. Like I was so inundated with it that now it's hard for me. I've got to sit and think, JoJo, what do you like to do? I don't know because I've been people pleasing for so long. I've never had to think about me. My source was to think about other people because my guiding principle was people pleasing. Listen, Miss Rivera, been there, done that, honey. Listen, I felt so lost. I thought I was going insane. I was like, does anybody not see what's going on with me? Well, they couldn't because I was so busy people pleasing and they were so busy receiving. No, they couldn't see what was going on with me. I ain't gonna say they didn't care. It simply was not in their principle. It was not their practicing principle to be concerned about, JoJo. It was in their practice and principle to hold true to their boundaries, to hold true to their principles. That's what they were, that's what was important to them. But it wasn't for me. Right, Joshua? And it took me a long time to get out of that people pleasing phase. And I had to go back and do some work. So when you realize that you're doing that, and for JoJo, I had to go back and look at my childhood. I had to go back and look at what happened in my childhood growing up. Why was I a people pleaser from there? And work my way out of that. I was the people pleaser at home because I didn't like people fighting and arguing. I was the peacekeeper in every situation. I diffused all things. Now that's my superpower, to diffuse attitudes, atmospheres. I'm really good at that. I'm really good at it because it was a trauma response to what I grew up in. I love my family, honey, and I had a hell of a childhood. I loved every minute of it, but there was also some times of it that was scary as hell. And I began to understand that if I could keep everybody happy, there would be no arguing and fighting between the parents. And before the age of 2, I understood that. By the age of 12, I had perfected that. Oh, absolutely. And what I found at 43, 44, 45, 40, all the way up, is that as the fixer and the problem solver, those became my guiding principles. And that's the only thing people came to me for. Absolutely. Listen, and it's a process to get that way, Joshua. It is a process. For me, it was a process. So I had to stop and look at my guiding principles and take away some things that were no longer serving me. People pleasing was one. Okay. Being Mrs. Fix It for everybody's situation. I still have to call myself on that almost daily. JoJo, I got a problem about, I was thinking in my mind, I'm going through all of the things that I know to see if I can come out with something, but I'm just saying. We have to get to our principle. What's my guiding principle? Because at the end of the day, JoJo, I'm exhausted. When I people please, I am exhausted. When I don't say what I really want, I'm exhausted. When I'm not clear on what I said because I'm unsure about how I want to say it, I'm exhausted. Because I'm frustrated because I didn't say what I wanted to say because I didn't want to hurt their feelings. I'm exhausted. They feel really good. JoJo is exhausted. How depression shows up in my life is sleep. I want to go to sleep. Oh, I'm so sleepy. Oh, I'm so tired. No. That is the beginning signs of you losing yourself into the thing. Right? Oh, absolutely, Joshua. So when I had to go back years and do the work. Like, where did this here's the thing, as you're setting up your principles and you begin to work backwards, you can't be afraid to ask these questions. Because eventually you're going to have to keep going back until you get to the root cause of it, right? Till you get to the root cause of it. And then when you get to the root cause of it, you got to deal with the pain, the anger, and frustration of why was you put in a situation like that at a young age to have to do those things. You're going to have to get over that anger. And now you're going to have to get over this part of that you grew into that thing because of this trauma. Remember, we talked about healing markers. So once you understand where the root come from and why you did that, you're going to have to place a healing marker that says from this day forward, I don't continue this. And you start the healing marker. You start the healing cycle. That is forgiving yourself because you didn't know any different here when you began. It was for your safety. It was a trauma response. It was the only thing you as a kid knew how to do to navigate yourself. It was the only thing that you knew. So you got to forgive you for starting it. And you got to forgive you for continuing it and sitting in a space of not knowing. But now we're to this part where we now understand and we now know. Now what do I do? Well, now what you do is you start with your new guiding principles. You begin putting a principle in place. Absolutely, Joshua. And it's internal. So as we're sitting back to observe whatever it is, it's internal. I've got to sit back and watch JoJo from the inside and see how she's operating when it comes to certain situations. What is my default? What is my default operation? What is my factory setting? And if my factory setting is to always blame other people, to think it's everybody but me, to not understand, to make it everybody's problem, I got to do a little bit more digging. And then as I'm setting out to put my practicing principles in place, I am now going to say this is of utmost importance. Okay. And your principle can be whatever. And then I want you to tell me, not me, you, how much you're willing to invest in that. Or how much value you're putting on to that. Absolutely, Joshua. We don't have to. It is hard. It is hard work. It's hard. I'll tell you what was hard. What was hard for me as I went back and I observed myself and looked at myself, it is the feeling of utter shame that I acted that way. I acted that way, or I allowed somebody to let me act that way, or I thought that way, or that was my reaction, or that I even had the thought process to do that. The shame and the guilt ate me up. JoJo, I cannot believe you did that. Like the embarrassment of it would wake me up in the middle of the night and be like, oh my God, really? And then I can't go back to sleep because I'm beating myself upside the damn head. You got to give yourself some grace, some peace, and some forgiveness, JoJo. That is available to you as well. So then I had to go through the process of saying, JoJo, it's okay. I give you some grace and peace. I forgive you. You didn't know. It happened. Hey, it happened, but we can't keep reliving it. We can't keep coming back here, JoJo. We're closing this door, never to be opened again, okay? And because we're closing this door, never to be opened again, that means we're not talking about it anymore. And this is so important. I know we talked about this years ago, is don't allow your friends to remind you of hate, hurt, and anger that you've already gone past. Don't allow your friends and or family to remind you of hurt, anger, fear, frustration of something you've already grown past. You've already dealt with it. You've healed from it. So when they want to sit down and take a trip down memory lane and remind you of all the bad things where you know you used to, you do not have to participate in that. You can say, we're not going down that. So don't allow them to remind you of something you've already forgiven yourself for and you've grown past. Right, Joshua? And we got to listen. We have to know that self-validation is never coming. That's hard. Yeah, listen. There's some people who would tell you stories about JoJo, and that's the JoJo they know. And that's okay. I am not her and she is not me. Because my guiding, practicing principles are this now. I'm not negating that it happened. I said it, I did it. But what I'm saying is I've forgiven myself. I don't live there anymore. So when you try to remind me of, you remember when you did me wrong when? Jesus. JoJo, you remember when you did me wrong? It's because of you that I'm this, and this, and this. I understand that was my fault. I own every piece of that. I do. I've also forgiven myself for being that horrible person then, but I am not that person now. Absolutely. And we have, listen, you have to move, or like we're growing and we're moving. We're like, have you ever watched those time lapses of plants that they always move to where the sun is? They're steady moving, even though you don't see them with your physical eye moving. It's not till you go back and watch the video of the time lapse that you see the plant moving towards the sun. We're always moving, we're always engaging, we're always changing. It is how we move and engage and change with each other for our common good that sets the tone, right, Joshua? We're not going back 9 and 10 years. So when they say, or they come back and say, it is because of you that that is not that's not yours to hold, JoJo. It's not. It is not yours to hold. Especially if you have, 1, asked for forgiveness, 2, apologize, 3, you made amends for it, and 4, 5, you have forgiven yourself. It is not required for you to hold that anger for them anymore. Good morning, Kimberly. Yes, I know I did it. Absolutely. I know that you felt this type of way. I know it hurt you. I know it was all my fault. I have forgiven myself for that. I've apologized to you. Sometimes, friends, there are no words that you can say to make the other person feel better. There's no apologizing you can do. And this was a self-revelation on 2 ends for me. There was nothing I can do for them to apologize enough, to feel sorry enough. There was no words, there was no action, there was nothing I was going to do to make it better for that person. Vice versa, there's nothing my ex-abuser can say, do, action that's going to make me feel better about what he did for me. I have to forgive JoJo that I did that. I had to forgive him that he did that. I had to forgive myself that I participated in all of it. And I've got to release that and set a new guiding principle for me. My new guiding principle says this. And then when people bring it back to my remembrance, it is not mine to hold any longer. Okay? We have healed past it. We have moved. And it is okay to say that. Okay? It's okay. It's not that you're disrespecting what you said or did years ago. You've acknowledged that. But you also acknowledge that you've moved past it. If people want to hold on to trauma, that's for them to hold and not you. If they want to remind you of who you used to be, that's for them to hold, not you. I have a practicing principle. This is it now. I had a healing marker. I've moved past that. That was a hard thing for me to learn, because what would happen is I would feel bad when somebody brought it to my remembrance of what I did. I would feel bad, and then I would go right back into people pleasing. And in the people pleasing, there is nothing we can do to please anybody enough to make them feel better if we've hurt them. Because the trauma cycle is there. And it is up to them to decide to move past that trauma or not. It's not your decision. It is theirs because they hold the trauma. You may have created it, yes, but they hold it. If you've asked for forgiveness, you made amends, you've apologized, you said it right. If they hold the trauma, it's theirs to hold and not yours. People pleasing, bringing up your past, that's their attachment and not yours. So when we start looking at our guiding principles, right? How are we operating from this day forward? We got to put some things in place. And so we looked at the definition of principle. It is the sum invested. It's our first order of importance. Was the first main thing about my new principle. 1, and then 2, how much am I invested into this? How much am I saying this is worth? Peaceful period means so much to me. I wrote it on my body. And I never thought I would ever tattoo my body or get a nose piercing. But I believe that peaceful period is my guiding principle so strongly, I let it speak for me when I can't. This is my guiding principle. We're going to be peaceful, period. There's absolutely nothing. And this is our ever evolving circle. This is an African sign, ever evolving circle. For me, this is always healing. This is always peace. It's always coming back to me. I'm never without it. It is my guiding principle. I've invested how many hours? Y'all remember we talked about this. We got 18 years at 8,000 hours a year. We got 157,000 hours of healing, of peaceful period. I'm not coming off 157,000 hours of healing because you're on hour 0. I can't move off of that. Always continues. So on this great, most amazing day, as we're getting ready for Monday, okay, as we're getting ready for Monday, I want you to bring your paper and your pencil on Monday, because we're going to talk about see what you say, and then we're going to be writing our formulas, right? We're writing formulas. Now that we understand our basic principle, we understand my basic guiding principles now, what they are. We understand the definition of principle. It's the first order of importance. The second definition is my original sum invested and or lent. Because we're going to do formulas, because we're going to talk about how much we spend out and how much we bring it in mentally, emotionally, physically, financially. And we're going to write out formulas to see what it's costing us. And we talked about that earlier this week. What you don't know is costing you. What you don't know is costing you more than you can afford. That was last week. What you don't know is costing you more than you can afford, and you don't even know it. It's costing you time, energy, mentally, emotionally, physically. Your body is aching and hurting because you don't know how to start the healing cycle. You don't know how to start the healing cycle because you assume you can figure it out for yourself. You don't need no help. You don't need nobody. I've always been independent. And in your independence sometimes lies our arrogance and our ignorance. I like that. In our independence lies our arrogance and arrogance and ignorance. Because JoJo wants to be independent so badly. I want to do it myself. I do not recognize the circle of people who are there to help me along the journey. Insert Sister Rise. Insert My Sister's Keeper. Insert Team Abundance. Insert They Only Live Past Crazy Specialists. Insert the people. Take it. Listen, have y'all read this? Did y'all read this? It says, how do you continue this work? Consistent practice, be patient, and use your sister circle. Use it. Use those who are there to guide you, who are there to help you. Period. Now listen, I want us to be clear, and I think I posted this, that sometimes when things are free, we don't value it as much, right? Absolutely, Joshua. We got to invest in something so that we can attach something to it, value to it, mental value, emotional value, physical value, monetary. We got to attach something to it so that we know that it means something to me. When it's free, I don't necessarily respect it as much. Right? Better than we were yesterday. So you may find in your sister circle, you may find in your friend circle, or as you are growing and doing and moving, that it's going to require an investment, not only in yourself, but in others to get to where you want to be. Okay? So whether you're working with a coach, that's an investment. If you're working with Miss Rivera to change your health, that's an investment. If you're working with Joshua to get some pieces made, you want him to design your line, that's an investment that you have got to honor. Agnes will keep you in, absolutely. It absolutely does. So on this great day, sometimes being independent, I'm just saying, sometimes being Miss Independent keeps me stuck. And I don't want to be stuck in my arrogance or ignorance. I need to use my sister circle. Okay. Did y'all enjoy this? Did y'all enjoy this? If you did, let me know. I know I sent it out to a few people. Please let me know that you've used it or at least started on it. So on this great, most amazing day, okay, I want you to be peaceful. I want you to have a soul full of sunshine. I love this. Is it not cute? Soul full of sunshine. As you have that soul full of sunshine today, think about your guiding principles. What is important to you? Why it's important? What is the first one? What are you willing to invest in yourself to say, this is it? Okay. So on this great, most amazing day, I want you to be peaceful, period, because there's absolutely nothing after that. Okay. There's absolutely nothing after that. If you want to join me for Sister Rise One Day Intensive, there you go. That's the ticket for general admission. This is the ticket for VIP. It is August the 13th. So make sure that you're coming. Don't wait to the last minute, okay? And if you would prefer to come to Sister Rise, then there you go. Spend the weekend or a couple of days. There you go. So on this great, most amazing day, I want you to be peaceful, period, okay? Thank you, Joshua. Your level of abundance, your abundance is going to meet you at your level of understanding, okay? So as I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about topics that we will add. We're going to look at our level of thinking. We're going to write those out too. Maybe that's Tuesday, okay? So we already got Monday. We got Tuesday. Make sure you grab you some paper and pencil because we're going to have a little sticky note. And here's the thing, friend. I have horrible handwriting. I need you to listen because I'm going to write it and you ain't going to be able to read it. I'm trying my best. How about I pre-write it out? Or I have Rosie pre-write it out so y'all can read it. Okay? Absolutely, Joshua. Your level of abundance depends on the openness of your heart. Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. So on this great day, listen, we're going to get into the jumpsuit today. Listen, I have all of these clothes that I finally lost weight to get into. We're ready for somebody's beach and island. So we're ready for the day. So on this great, most amazing day, I want you to be peaceful, period. I want you to have a good day. Okay? Honey, I'm ready too. I'm ready for the day. Thank you, Joshua. You're most welcome. Listen, thank you guys for showing up. You don't have to. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that you come here every day because you could absolutely be doing something else. So as you're getting ready to start your day, I'm getting ready to go do my morning walk. As you get ready to start your day, go greet the sunshine. Okay, go stand in. Yesterday we listened to music. To this morning, I don't care if you're at work. Go stand out in the sun and lift your, even if you don't want to lift your hands because you don't want people think you're crazy, put your hands in front of you and let the sun hit your hands. They will begin to tingle. That is the sun reminding you that every cell in your body is alive. Whatever you're setting your mind to do, you can do. You have the answer. You know the direction. You know what to do. This would just be your little affirmation, confirmation that you can do that thing. As you feel your fingers tingle, lift your face up And if you're good in country, you remember the song we sung when we did communion, with our face to the rising sun, oh Lord, have mercy on me. We used to sing that every first of the month we had communion. Stick your face to the rising sun and feel the tingle. Accept the change that is coming. Okay. All right, guys. I hope you have the most amazing day ever. I want you to be peaceful, period. I want you to have a good weekend, okay? And get ready for Monday. So I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you guys here bright and early on Monday morning. Have